What's going on, guys? Welcome into episode number 10 of the Male Mind Podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. We have a very special guest today. This is an episode that I have been thinking about for months. As soon as we started this project, I thought about this specific individual. For me, he is a tremendous example of strength, perseverance, love, just going through tough battles and coming, out the other side so much better. And so I can't wait for you guys to hear his story and what he has accomplished and gone through. One of my best friends in the whole world, Paul Vea, is here. Paul, thank you so much for being here, my man.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on the show.
Of course.
I've been listening every week that you guys put out, so it's honored. Dude, you're about to make me cry after you were doing that. I appreciate you guys so much. Everything that you guys are doing for us regular Joes out there.
Right.
Just normal people who think they have it all. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing for us and for them out there.
Yeah, I know it can be hard to share your story, right? Yeah. And we've seen it with the guests that Louis has had on, you yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard to share your story. So I'd like to kind of start there because both of you have been vulnerable on this show.
Yeah.
You've shared a lot about your difficulties, your stories. So why? How have you specifically gotten over that difficulty of sharing your story, talking about things that are very personal, things that that's going to be out there and you don't know how it's going to be received? I honor Paul for being here because that's what he's about to do.
Yeah.
So how did you see that early on?
I think for me it was definitely being more vulnerable and making sure that I know that me speaking out was going to help someone going through the exact same thing. And that's how I kind of picture it in my head every single time I speak on my stories and what I've gone through in a business and personal. I think for me is I know someone's going through the exact same thing. I'm going to speak on it because people think that no one else is going through anything, you know what I'm saying? And I think for me was being able to process all of the emotions and my feelings, making sure I understand everything that I went through so I can speak about it. Because if I didn't do that, I'd just be in a scramble left and right. I think most people need to understand that you have to take time to heal and understand what you're going through and feeling. Then you can speak out on it. It just comes out a lot more natural and vulnerable because you've been saucing it up in your head and in your mind for so long that it comes better once you healed and process.
Of course. And so we'll get into your story, Paul, but how have you felt over the last couple of days knowing that you're going to share a little bit about your story? What is your motivation for being in that chair today?
Basically just my son. I want him to understand that it's okay to have these feelings. It doesn't make you weak or different or anything. It just means you're human. Yeah. And that's what I wish I had a few years ago. I wish I had my voice. I wish I had that knowledge that, hey, it's okay to feel this way. Right. Let's process that feeling.
Give us a little bit of context. Tell us about your story, what you've gone through over the last 36 months. Let's just get into it.
So I was, currently right now I'm engaged. A few months ago, by a few months, I mean, now I think about it, October, I was officially divorced. And then I got engaged in December to a very special lady who's helped me find my voice. And I
love that.
And I didn't realize I didn't have a voice until I met her. And then before that, the separation, I was separated December 17th, 2021, when I realized everything was gone. Everything was going to come to a crumble. But before that, I thought everything was fine. I thought things were going well. My ex-wife and I were going on dates. We had our son. And I'm like, okay, we're good. Flashback to when we found out that we were expecting. It was 2018, I believe. And we went to Disney World, and then I thought things were great. And because I thought things were great, I didn't want to say anything. I always thought, things are fine. Why say anything? Because I'm going good. But I also wanted to live up to this person, this persona that I got everything under control.
Right.
I don't need anything. I don't need any help. You
I'm
know,
content.
I'm good. If I ask for help, that's for me. That was a sign of I can't handle things. You know, a sign of weakness to me. And that's why I didn't talk to anyone.
Where did that come from? Do you feel that was just a natural way of feeling? Did someone make you feel that way based on the experiences? Like, I'm so interested in where this stigma comes from of, I just gotta tough it out.
Yeah, I'm also thinking culture. Are you poly or Samoan?
I'm talking, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
You feel like that plays a little bit into
I
it?
really do think that, like, you know,
Yeah.
you're in this culture, you know, you tough it out.
tough.
You're good. You're fine. Walk it off. You know, break your leg. You're fine. Go ahead and walk it off. That's where I thought the mentality came from. So like, any sort of weakness, crying or complaining, I just thought that's not who I am. That's not what Tongans are. That's not what Polynesians are. You know, we're
Yeah.
tough. We're built different, and I wanted to live up to that. And that's totally true. You know, there's a lot of Polynesians out there, and not even Polynesians. A lot of guys out there. They are tough, you know, but some people like me rely on our feelings,
Right.
and I didn't realize that. So going into this marriage, I just thought I had everything. I'm fine. You know, I didn't need my feelings. I had someone. I have a kid. He's coming into this world. I think I'm good, you know? And I started playing. Things were complacent. Things were plateauing. And I thought that was okay.
You thought that was normal. That's
Yeah.
just the way it goes. Right.
I got the girl. I got the kid.
Yeah.
I'm golden.
And then there were rough patches in our relationship, but I didn't want to talk to anyone because I didn't want anyone to think, oh, you know, Paul's this guy, and you know he has a great job, he has a wife, he has his kids. I wanted to live up to that. I didn't want people to think, oh, he has problems. Maybe he's not what we think.
Right.
And that got to my head. My pride got to my head, to the point where I lost my voice. I didn't have things to say. My opinions, it bled into my relationship. My opinions didn't matter. If I said one thing, it would be completely different. That added to it. I'm just like, okay, well, maybe I should keep quiet.
You feel like over time it just starts just crumbling at your self-esteem, crumbling at your confidence. Me as your friend, hearing this story after, I felt guilty because during that time, like you said, we went to Disney World. We were seeing each other all the time. Like, for context for the audience, me and Paul, we've been in the same dance group for years. And so we had 2 practices a week and we were doing shows and like we were seeing each other all the time. And I didn't detect it. Nobody detected it. You mentioned why you didn't feel comfortable maybe reaching out. But for me on this side, I'm like, damn, like my friend was hurting and I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't. And so talk to us a little bit about that in terms of specifically you have a circle of friends and you chose to maybe suffer a little bit in silence. Was that because, well, I'll let you answer that.
I thought it was just a thing to do. I wanted to keep myself. I thought it would make me stronger. I didn't think these people, my friends, you, would help me be stronger because I didn't think you guys don't know what I'm going through. And then on that same note, I didn't want to burden people with my issues, with my problems. And I didn't. And keep going. I don't want people seeing my partner. I didn't want them seeing her in a bad light. And I just wanted. I felt like I was protecting a lot of things by just keeping quiet.
Right.
By just keeping things to myself. And I didn't see that it was hurting my relationship. It was hurting me ultimately.
Right.
Because when everything went up the flames, I was still silent. I still didn't want to talk to people. I remember when that night I called my sister, and she lives in Ohio, and it was like 1 a.m, and she picked up. I don't know why she picked up. I didn't know what she was doing awake. She just picked up. She was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, so my relationship is ending." Obviously, I didn't sound like this. I was a blubbering mess. Yeah. And she just said, "Just breathe. You just need to breathe. Where are you at right now?" I was still staying at the house. I didn't have a place. When things like this happen, You don't know what
You don't
to
have
do.
a plan.
Yeah,
It's
you don't have
not
a plan.
like,
It
this
just
is my
you don't have
plan
a
B.
contingency. No.
It like falls
Yeah.
into your lap like, oh, here it is.
I'm gonna go to the safe house. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist.
Oh, that would have been nice. But it just like they just happened. You know, you're not prepared for any of it,
Yeah.
and that's something you shouldn't prepare for. But it's hard because I didn't have a place to go. The next day, I went to my brother. You know, the closest people that I had at the moment was my family, but I didn't even see them for during our relationship. During my relationship, I didn't have my.
And during that time, your family had no idea either.
They had nothing.
And
They
is
just
that-
knew.
Is that because you chose it that way, or was it because maybe your ex-partner did not want them involved,
know,
or did he want them to know what was happening?
It was me. I didn't want them knowing what's happening, but at the same time, I knew she didn't mesh well with my family. So I just thought like, okay, you know what? Happy wife, happy life. So let me just make her happy.
Make her happy, forget about everything else.
Yeah,
they do.
and my family, I'm you know, LDS culture. Families are forever. You know, my family will always have my back.
Yeah.
But it's totally different because when that night happened, I didn't think my sister would pick up. My brother opened his his apartment to me because there's only two bedrooms, and he had a kid. He had I think she was at the time 8 months.
Wow.
But it was during Christmas. He had family coming over. I called him up. Hey, do you mind if I crash at your place? This is what's happening. He's like, dude, just come over. I have my in-laws. I told him I don't want to intrude. And he's like, no, you come here. Your family.
Yeah.
And that tore me apart because I didn't see them. I didn't see them for who knows how long. And he was willing to welcome me back.
And help you out.
Because at the end of the day, that's who you have. I mean, you talk about your brothers all the
Yeah.
time, and I think it's healthy, even if you're married or whatever, to a certain extent, have those relationships, maintain
Yeah.
those relationships with your siblings, with your parents, because you never know what could happen. And when something crumbles to the ground, you're in a very vulnerable, broken place. You know, you can have dark thoughts and things like that.
Yeah.
So talk to me, Paul, about the rebuild, right? Because your relationship, your marriage bursts into flames, separation, it's done, it's over. Talk
Yeah.
to me about the rebuild. When do you start to figure out, okay, I have some value, I can rebuild my life? You mentioned you found Jackie. Talk to us about that, because there's a lot of people in the audience that maybe just recently went through a breakup, are feeling that right now, feeling a little bit lost. What do I do? Who do I talk to? I lost all my self-worth. My marriage is gone. You mentioned the LDS culture.
Yeah.
They're just feeling everything. What would you say to somebody like that is wanting to rebuild?
Take your time. Feel your feelings. Don't go running because all this shit that's happened. You got to take that time to sift through it.
Yeah.
What happened? What could have I done better? Why did it happen this way? Why am I feeling this way? And my advice is, you got to take your time. You got to feel your feelings. And I didn't know how to do that until I realized a week later I needed to go see a therapist. It was
Is that because you were wanting to find? Because how I viewed it, and this is from my perspective, was I had so many scattered questions, ideas, patterns, thought processes that I didn't know how to put them into one linear line. And my therapist calls it alignment. I was not aligned with anything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that how you felt?
Yeah. Everything was all over the place.
Yeah.
But the common thought that kept coming to my mind was, I'm not good enough. Oh, no. Okay, what happened? I'm not good enough. And every time I thought that, it was such a dark time. I would only get 3 hours of sleep. And remember one night, I went to the American Fork Temple, and I just sat in that parking lot. And I remember just thinking, I don't need to be on this earth. And for some reason, a police officer was there. I didn't tell anyone I was going. It was 3 a.m. I just got in my car, went there. Police officer knocks on my window. Hey, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, no, nothing's okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him the whole story. He just said to me, hey, if you need anything, my name is Officer so-and-so. just talk to me. But I'm just going to be right over there in my patrol car. I just don't want you doing anything dumb.
Right.
And from that moment, I knew like I need to talk to someone. So I got on the phone and I tried calling therapists.
Did you feel like that was like a sign, or like a God sent? I mean, you're at the temple. Let's be real.
Yeah.
If I was at the temple at that moment, like, okay, well, God's right next to me.
Yep.
You know.
And I didn't. It was just that was the place that my ex and I had gotten married, and I figured like this is the closest place I can get to God and maybe to her, because at this point I was still trying to fix my relationship, but I just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere with her, and so at that point I was just like, no, I'm done.
I feel like that was a moment where you kind of let go. You
Yeah.
said, okay, you accept the fact that this is just not going to work. It's
Yeah.
as hard as I try or whatever, it's just not meant to be. It's not going to, you feel like that was kind of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was also the moment where I needed to talk to someone, not just that police officer. So, and in December, it's hard to, at this time, it was hard to find a therapist. So I'm going through websites and I'm going through phone numbers trying to look for a therapist. This one place called me back and they're like, hey, we do have an opening December 27th, you know? And I'm like, whoa, that's a few days after Christmas. You guys are open. And they said usually it takes about 3-6 months to get a therapist.
Wow.
But one other clients had just dropped and they had opened up. But the crazy thing was my therapist is actually someone I served a mission with.
Wow.
And maybe it's God or maybe it's the universe, whatever it is. I consider myself lucky. Something is looking out for me.
Of course.
And that was these small little things, that police officer, finding my therapist, and soon it was going to be Jackie. All these little things were going to be pointing me,
In the right
realigning
direction.
me into where I needed to go.
I love that.
I love that. Talk to me about your son. Talk to me about what role he played. I know it's a sensitive topic. It is for me as well. I have a 6-year-old. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about when you're having these thoughts and our family is going to end up breaking up. What role did Matthias play in this whole process?
He saved my life because I knew he needed someone in his life, and who best to be part of that than his father.
Right.
And I told myself, this is where my rebuilding started to take place. I told myself, and I wrote it down in my journal, I never want Matthias feeling like this. If he does, he knows that I've been there and I can help him. He was that anchor for me. He was the reason, and he's the reason that I want to keep bettering myself. Because he's gonna be in the same boat as me, a different person who's listening to the show, a different person just walking down the street who doesn't know what's coming. He's gonna have his resources, and I am just happy and proud that I can be part of that.
I love that. That's really cool. The biggest thing for me, man, is you stepping up to the plate and realizing that, yes, it was you. You know, you were going through what you were going through, but you had a bigger meaning and a bigger purpose was to show up better for your son, and that's awesome.
And I think that's a big sticking point for the audience. Right? If you're going through that, if you have children, let them be your anchor, right? I feel like sometimes when we're in these situations, we just think about ourselves.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm not good enough. I want it this way. It should be this way. I'm this. But there are other people in the room that can also be affected or give that boost of motivation.
Yeah.
That can make you take a
Scale.
different road, make a different decision just because they exist. Right. So I found that in dark times, I found my son to be an anchor because it's no longer just about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you make a different decision, the police officer doesn't show up and you decide to do something, that has a residual effect on your son forever.
Yeah.
And so I resonate heavily with that because I felt the exact same thing. And so for the audience, I would say, think about your kids, think about your family, think about, you know, if you're having dark thoughts or you're thinking of doing something, think about the people, you know, and let that be the motivation, not to put stuff away, but to
Yeah.
get the help that you need. In your case, therapy. We've talked about that multiple times.
Yeah.
If it requires therapy, if it requires professional help, great. That's fine. I think we need to eliminate that stigma. Do so. Reach out. Make the phone call. Make the appointment, and you'll be on the other side.
And I think also, I'm taking both perspectives, because if you guys are going through a divorce or a separation, like, it's tough. It's really, really hard. And you kind of have to be selfish, right? And selfless. And what I mean by that is, with Paul's situation, the selfless part of him was, you know what? I have to be better. I want to provide. I want to show up for my son. That's like the purpose and the why. But on the back end, you have that I have to be selfish for myself and really put in the work for myself to heal. So now you're playing with two different sides of things, if that makes sense, right? So I know for you, because I've been in it, it was, okay, I have to show up for my why and my purpose, because I want to continue to be married. I honestly, I'm still am. But on the other side was, I need to make sure that I'm also good for myself, so I can continue to be good for me, and then everything else.
Yeah, I love that. And let's talk about Jackie for a second, because I find it very interesting, the fact that you find someone that brings you something completely different. You know what I mean? Like, it completely changes your outview on life, on yourself, on the way you view your feelings, and that can also be the anchor, right? So at what point in time did you meet her? Did you start to interact with her, and you started to realize, hey, this person is different, is helping me, and is changing the way I view myself, the way I view life? Talk to us about Jackie a little bit.
So we've been friends for quite some time now. She has been part of Matthias's life since he was born. So she's always, my ex and I have always went to Jackie to watch him while we go on dates. Or watch Matthias when we have to run errands and everything. So she already knew Matthias.
She was
Matthias
in
already knew that.
life form.
Yeah. So she already had that connection. Matthias already had that connection. And when everything went up, I went to her and her family, because she was friends with my ex at the time, and I was just like, hey, this is happening. I need your help. Can you help me? Can you talk to her? Talk some sense. And they were like, yeah,
Wow.
sure, we can do
That's
that.
huge.
And they knew everything what was going on, but they didn't tell me. They knew I wanted to fight for my marriage, but they didn't say, you should probably give up. You're beating a dead horse. Here's my daughter. No, it wasn't like that. It was like, let's help you
Let's figure it
feel
out.
these things. Let's help you understand what's going on. And in the meantime, they gave me a place to stay, because my family just lives up in Salt Lake County or in Davis County, so they're far away. I work down here in Utah County, and Matthias lives down in Orem as well in Utah County, so I want to stay pretty close. So they saw that. First thing they did, hey, how about you just stay with us, and we'll figure something else.
Right.
So every time you're watching Matthias, just stay here. When you take him back to his mom, you can just go back up. So I was like, okay, good. We're fine with that. A couple weeks later, come home with Matthias, and they presented me a room, my very own room. And to me, that was love. To me, that was like, I'm going through crap right now, and you don't know half of the things that's going on, but you're opening your doors up. Thank you. And
Wow.
and that point on, like you were saying, Jackie has taught me to be selfish at times, to look out for myself. So she was showing me these things as well as I'm fighting for my marriage.
And at the time, you didn't know that you guys were gonna end up being together. This is completely, you guys were friends.
Straight friends, because I wanted Jackie's input, because they used to work together, so I thought I had an in, like, oh yeah, I'm getting back in this relationship. Jackie knows everything, and then things started to I started to realize, like, that my marriage wasn't worth saving.
Now, is that because of you or because of your ex? And I want you to kind of explain why and how you felt like, okay, now I gotta be done, because there has to be a reason why.
That was for me. I knew I wasn't gonna get why the marriage was ending, and I knew I had to be okay with why I knew I had to be okay with not knowing why. But there was a time where I just said to myself, I need to focus on me.
Yeah.
I need to love me. Why am I going to love someone else? There's a reason why this happened. There's a reason why our marriage broke.
Right.
And I'm not going to be like, oh, that was her fault. So I took it a different way. I just said, no, I need to figure out me. Okay. At that point, I'm like, I need to work on myself. I need to figure out my problems. I don't need, and it's going to help if I didn't have someone behind my back.
Yeah.
If I didn't have someone by myself, because either I was going to be dead weight or she was going to be dead weight. So I just said, you know what? Let's just cut it.
This is it. How do you feel today?
Oh,
What's changed?
I'm engaged. She said yes. I'm.
Now, was that scary?
It was. It
Yeah.
was like I just didn't know. Like we were dating for a bit. I knew what she wanted. She knew what I wanted. But for some dumb reason, I was scared she was gonna say no.
Yeah.
But I knew everything. She had a relationship with Matthias. She loved me, and there was things she tells me every day. She does things every day. But it was nerve wracking. But she said yes. Thank goodness. I knew she was gonna say yes, but still that
Yeah.
feeling behind.
Yeah, that feeling.
But I feel great because I feel like myself. Before I got married, my previous marriage, I knew who I was. I knew the things that I loved. And then I got married. And then I thought, oh, I changed to the marriage. I changed
Yes.
to the person.
You molded yourself to the person you thought you should be for this person.
Yeah, exactly. I thought maybe, okay, less games. No more games. No more musicals. You know, I love musicals. No more the things that I love. So I can focus on my family and everything in there. And then everything blew up in my face. I had to start back from square one. And Jackie has helped me realize who I am, the things that I love, the things that I hate. That's who I am. And that's what she wants to marry.
Right.
She didn't want to marry a fake person. She knew what she was getting herself into. I knew what I was getting myself into.
And that's why I love this story, because it's a story that it's okay to start over. It's okay to rebuild. It's okay to you got to take the L sometimes, but you learn from that, and you can always try again. You know, I'm sure now you have a long list of things that you're going to do differently going into marriage 2 than marriage 1. So
Yeah.
a lot of times maybe there can be people out there that just feel hopeless, feel like it's
Yeah.
over, feel like they'll never,
I'm done.
they'll
I won't
never
find anybody
rebuild.
else.
No one will ever love me
Yep.
again. It's really hard to get yourself out of that mentality. But you're the perfect example that you can rebuild, you can learn, you can get back up, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted you on, because that's a powerful message. And there are going to be people listening that right now feel that they don't get another shot, that they're never going to be able to recover.
And with that, I want you guys to take this information I'm about to tell you. If you are going through what you're going through, remember, people show up differently for other people. Right now, if you're going through a hard time, a divorce, separation, you know, your ex or that person that, you know, you were with in the past might have not been good for you for many reasons. A lot of people lose themselves to fit into a criteria of that person or that marriage or that culture or that religion, losing themselves. And I say this because now that you're with Jackie, Jackie has brought out a different side of Paul, a happier side of Paul, right? So you guys remember that if you are splitting up or your divorce is over, there's another person out there that will bring you back to that light that you are. And I want you guys to be serious about this because it does happen. People show up differently for other people. People don't match, right? You might find someone that's better for you and that you actually feel you're best at, and that's the person who you should be with.
Yes.
I agree. And I want to kind of wrap up with the idea of co-parenting. Massively complicated. Like there's all these different variables. And so how have you handled that? Because even if you get divorced, to some degree, your ex is still a part of your life to some degree, right? It's the mother of your child, and you still have to interact, whether it's through text or you see each other or pick them up or I pick them up. So what has that been like for you, the whole co-parenting side? And what advice would you give to maybe someone that is struggling with this idea, this new idea of co-parenting? How has that been for you?
It's hard. It's really hard. And for me, in my case, it's not hard because I want I just want things done my way, you know? Co-parenting, I know the meaning of co-parenting. I know my ex has rights as well. That's the hard part though, is when it's not reciprocated back. And that's difficult. And my advice to anyone listening to the show or anyone else in general, throw away your issues with your past relationship.
Yeah.
Throw away the problems that you had before. Throw away your pride. At this point, it's all about your son or your daughter or your kids. And people don't realize they're jeopardizing them when they say, "Oh, I'm going to let him do whatever he wants." That's what I do in my house. Like, okay, how is that beneficial for him? Like, how is not having a structure going to help your kid, your son, your daughter? Because there has to be structure for your kids. I'm not a parent of I'm not a child of divorced parents, so I don't know how it is. I only know because I've learned from other people. After I share my story, people have told me, "Hey, this is going to come up.
Do this.
Just a heads up. This might happen, but there's a way around it. You know, this is how you can focus on your son and his needs." So it's been a hard battle, but I'm still in it because I want my son to grow up happy, healthy, with structure. I don't want him to grow up and be a menace or a gremlin and running around free and everything, you know, because people are going to look at him like, "Oh yeah, that's Paul's son." Like, I want them to look at Matthias and they'll be like, "Hey, yeah, he's a Vea. That's Paul's son. He's a good kid."
With pride.
I love that. With
Of
pride.
course. How do you avoid, because I see this a lot, using your son as a shield or as a weapon against your ex? I've seen this a lot with friends where they use either time or they try to somehow hinder their view of you.
Yep.
And
Sabotage
they use
the
that,
relationship.
yes, and they use that as a weapon or as a shield. How have you avoided doing that?
Straight up, I'm just honest. Stop it. Stop using my son against me. I feel like I have a voice because I am who I am. I'm happier now. And B, I feel like I'm the only person that can say these things to his mom. I feel like it should be coming from me first, not from anyone else.
Right.
So it's just this idea of direct accountability, being honest, being willing to have the conversations, even though they're tough conversations. I love that.
Because I want people to be honest with me.
Yeah.
If I'm messing up, tell me I mess up. Show me that I messed up. Okay, I see that. I did mess up. I will learn from that. But people need to learn that small basic concept of accountability. You don't need a relationship to know like, "Oh yeah, that was my fault." No, you just need to have that.
Yeah.
Because you affect people around you when you don't take accountability for something. If it was your
Of
fault.
course, because it's easy to point blame, right? And I think that you've mentioned that multiple times throughout this conversation of thinking about what part did I play? What can I do?
Yeah.
What is my next step? What do I need to work on? And that's hard to do when you're in that situation where you're vulnerable, and it's the easiest thing to do
Is blame
is to
someone
just
else.
point fingers, and you might even be right in some situations, but that doesn't serve.
Yeah, that doesn't serve the purpose.
It doesn't. It just keeps you in this constant loop of you give up control, right? So when I see you, I see someone who has taken back their control.
Yeah.
You've taken control back when before you didn't have it, and now you're in a position where okay, I'm going to be in the driver's seat, and I'm going to do what's best for my son.
And it's scary.
And it's scary
yeah.
because you might crash, bro. I feel the same way. I mean, once you have a kid, just wait till you have a kid, bro. Where you're gonna be sitting in this chair. But I love that, Paul, and I love that you have put the focus on your son. I see the way that you interact with him. I see the way that your eyes light up when he's around. I can imagine that it's painful when he has to leave, but I honor you for having the maturity
Yeah.
to put your own personal vendettas aside and focus on him. Like, that is so difficult to do. And I know so many people who can't get there. They keep fighting their ex for years. They can never get to the point where we're going to lay this to rest and focus on the kids. That you have done that is massively underrated. It's very difficult, and I honor you for doing that, because so many just can't. They just can't. And
keep working on it, you know, keep establishing those rules and those boundaries, and I think it's going to be great, and I think he's going to grow up to be an amazing kid, but they do follow you. They do follow those rules, and you can only do so much when he goes, you know, back to the mom's house. But the biggest thing is when he's at your house, teach him how you want him to grow up, man. That's my advice for that, for sure.
So what's next, Paul? What's next in your life? What are you excited about? What fires you up?
The fact that I get to be me, you know, just me, you know. Jackie loves me for me, and just a couple weeks ago I went to a Taylor Swift concert, and I thought she was going to judge me. I mean, there was some judgment there.
I judge you. But
I'm judging you.
She let me go. She let me go to that concert, and I was like, whoa, are you sure? Even going up to the airport, I was like, this is happening. I get to go to a Taylor Swift my first concert, but I get to do all these things.
You went without her.
I went without her. And I'm able to do these things, you know, things that I love, and she wouldn't hold me back. And that's the greatest thing. And that's what makes me happy.
Isn't that wild, though?
Yeah.
You know, you want to go to a Taylor Swift concert. Maybe you're afraid that you're going to be judged by your partner, and just that freedom to be like, hey, I want to go watch me some T-Swizzle. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? That's cool. And I hope that everyone listening can get to that place where it's cool. You want to watch your musicals? Watch your musicals, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
she loves it too. So she sings louder than me. So and it's just it's weird being in a healthy relationship.
Well, because all you know is unhealthy relationship. That's what sucks. So a lot of people have this mentality, and they replay these scenarios in their head because they don't feel like this is correct. This is not right. It's not supposed to be this good. But you have to embrace it, understand that this is a new chapter in your life, and you are a better person now, and a better partner, a better dad, and everything you went through, man, is because you were supposed to be where you are now. I truly believe that.
I agree. And so for the audience, just to wrap up, just remember, I mean, here's a perfect example. It's okay. Feel what you need to feel. If you need professional help, reach out. Find professional help. Surround yourself with people. Don't be afraid of having those conversations. Focus on your children. Find some anchor, something that you can attach yourself to that can give your life meaning. Nobody is alone. From being in the parking lot, there's a police officer there. There's always somebody. As lonely as you feel, there's always somebody that you can talk to, whether it's your friends, your family, some random police officer, but you're not alone, right? Yeah. And whatever situation you're in, you can rebuild, you can learn, you can be better, you can find someone better. We started this podcast because of the male suicide statistics. When we talked about it via text, we were exchanging stats, and it is wild. They're so high. Yeah. They're unacceptably high.
I refuse to be a statistic.
There you go.
And everyone needs to realize that.
100%. And the biggest thing that we talked about in the beginning was, let's make sure that a child can keep their father. And we've held that the whole time. We're getting DMs, we're getting messages from people that are so happy that they are seeking out help, and they are being a lot more open with their families and their partners. Like, I get them every day. And again, you guys, this is another type of story, another type of informative style of things that you guys are going through right now, or have gone through in the past, or maybe you want to learn to help other people. And this podcast might help you talk to your brother or sister that are going through the exact same thing. And take that into consideration when you guys are listening, because we are just trying to have a little light in that brain of ours to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. So with that being said, guys, Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys,
for being on the show. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing your story. I know a lot of people are going to relate, and I honor you for that. Guys, this has been episode number 10 of the Male Mind Podcast. Share this, pass it on. You guys know the drill. Subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, and we will be back with another episode very, very soon.
Boom.